Thank you for coming to the beautiful, newly renovated, awesome space, best board in the world, best executive director in the world, Carver Center. Yay! I'm Denise Moore, as many of you know, the 1st District City Councilwoman. And the purpose of our meeting today is to update you on what has happened over the last few months, what's planning to happen going forward, and what the plans are for the future. And that's a lot of information that is not in my head, but is in the head of both Ken Hinton and Bashir Ali, he's on his way. He had another meeting that didn't end until 6, so he's going to be coming up here a little late. So while he's getting here, would you please help me welcome the person who is going to lead the effort to save Carver, and he won't let me say be the person because there's a lot of people that's behind him. If anybody thinks one person can make this happen, then they're fooling themselves. It takes a big group of folk, many of you in the room, who make this effort possible. But every group of people need a leader, and that leader is Ken Hinton. So please help me welcome him.
Thank you very much, Denise. Thank you all for coming. We'll try to give as much information as we can in regards to Carver Community Center. But before that, I would like to recognize our board members. We have 5 board members here. Other board members, 1 or 2 were out of town. And like Denise said, Mr. Ali, Bashir, is completing another meeting, but Bashir said he was coming, so we expect him a little late. I want to tell you in regards to the Carver Community Center, as far as what we're doing, and most of us, if not all of us in this room, most of us have some connection to Carver in a special way. Carver, for me, I remember in 1949, I sat under the picture there, and some of you might remember Mrs. Washington. She was my piano teacher, and I really didn't want to do it, but Mrs. Washington taught me the keys, and I was made to learn, okay? And it was enjoyable. But Mr. Harper and all the people that were here, it changed our lives in many different ways. And now we have the opportunity to do that again in regards to bringing together a group of very, very talented people. Most of us are retired in regards to what we're doing, but not everyone is retired. Mrs. Petty is here, was with us when we started the Valeska Hinton Center, and they said, no, you can't do it, you won't be able to do it, nobody will come, and so on. And Jackie will tell you, as the second year went by, we never had less than 200 to 300 people on the waiting list trying to get in, and we could only do 75. And then Jackie and I were standing in the doorway one day, and we were watching the children go by. We had children from 4 on up to first grade, 4 years old up to first grade. And Jackie said, wouldn't it be something if we could get these children a little earlier and keep them? And what could we do? And that has always stuck with me, even as a superintendent, with the 2 schools that were built. If you'll notice, we called them birth through 8. Those people have reassembled as far as Carver is concerned in the areas that we're going to be working with. And we're going to use scientific data, research, and the best knowledge out there to make experiences for children and adults the very best it can be. So we are very excited about being able to let our knowledge go, bring in the very best people so that they will be with us, our children, and our family, and embrace this entire community and make a difference in Peoria. So we've been working, there are about 30 of us that are volunteering to see to it that Carver returns. What you see now started probably, I guess, a year and a half ago with the application that we placed to the city in regards to the TIF. And if Chris Setti were here, Chris would tell you that our application was downtown, so nicely done, it was just great. And we received $1.5 million. You put the roof in there, it goes to $1.6 million. So the team is reassembled, and with the work of the team, we received our first grant. I think some of you saw it in the newspaper, where we received a grant from the Community Foundation of Central Illinois. That's the first $15,000, and there will be more to come on. But you're here tonight to find out what's going on at Carver. Well, what we have been doing, President Ali just walked in the door. So we've got some help here. So what's going on at Carver? Well, we returned to be re-engaged with Carver late May and early June of this year. And so what we've been doing basically is working on the financial structure of Carver. We picked up where we left off. And so what's important to us now is raising enough funds so that Carver will be sustainable, programming will be long-term, and Carver can go another 90 years. 90 years, if you really want to know what it is, it's 92 years. I will tell you, I received the call in Memphis from one of my dear friends and basically said to me in August or September of 2011, said, "Ken, did you know that Carver is closing?" I said, "No." And so that stayed on my mind, and my wife said, "You know, Kenneth, you're not doing anything, so why don't you give back to the community?" So Mary Ann, Randall, myself, and Sandy Burke, we got together and we started looking at what was taking place with Carver. And we saw, dear ones, that what was taking place is that the financial structure of Carver has to be addressed in regards to what takes place at Carver. We looked at the lighting, which was really, and the heating and cooling of Carver, which was breaking the back of Carver in regards to the utility bills. Well, one of the things that we have done, and we've worked with CDAC and the University of Illinois, and lighting that you see now and that's on now and in the foyer and upstairs and so on, is all green lighting in the sense that it is economically supportive to what we're doing. We also looked at windows and so on, and the outside of the building. We can't do the outside of the building, but the outside of the building has to be addressed. But to make a long story short, we looked at what was going out, what was coming in, and we made the adjustments that we needed to make in regards to trying to keep Carver sustainable. So right now we are focused on long-term fundraising, fundraising short-term and long-term, because we have to generate X number of dollars for operational costs, and those costs have to be met. We are also picking up where we left off in regards to programming. Programming will be in 5 areas, and so let me tell you what those areas are. And we've got local experts and statewide experts in each of those areas. And those areas are fine arts, and as you know, we've got one of the best minds and one of the best people around doing that for us, leading that. Where's Sharon? There you are. She's going to lead our fine arts. She's going to lead our fine arts, and basically she's going to help us with our first major fundraiser in this room. The Heritage Ensemble will be presenting on November the 15th, and we're looking for that as being a fundraiser to generate X number of dollars for us. The next area in regards to what we're doing, and these areas came about with a community engagement, because another one of the best minds in the state and the nation, I always get in trouble for this, but I don't care. It is the truth. Sandy Burke Sandy Burke helped us get, I do get in trouble. I'm probably going to get in trouble later. But Sandy Burke basically helped put together well over 100 volunteers from the community, basically saying, the question was, we asked the community, what would you like to see take place here at Carver? There were some great minds and great interactions that took place in regards to the areas we're talking about. We dealt in fine arts. We did that in health and wellness. And that's the second area other than that I've talked to you about. And then there's recreation and athletics. Leading that group was Derek Booth and my son Landrian. And they looked at basketball, they looked at baseball, they looked at soccer, and they looked at volleyball. And we pretty much kept it that way because of the fact we know trying to do things with quality, there's a complexity to it. So quality has complexities. So we're trying to do it right. And so those are 3 of the areas. The other area that we're involved with is education and career development. And with the education and career development in regards to programming that we're going to provide for young children, we got some of the best thoughts and some of the best research in regards to children. And we're going to employ that as far as programming here at Carver. Now, I just don't say that lightly because many people were involved in that. And along with that now, here's another one I might get in trouble with, but I'm retired and it's okay, and I'm going to say it. Some of the things that we want our young children to do and some of the things we want our young children to be, we're going to say something about it. We want you to learn. We want you to be the very best you can be. And when your pants are on your ankles, when you come in, they're going to be up on your waist. And those kinds of things. We're going to be teaching soft skills, hard skills, to see to it that young people have a chance in life. The very same way it was for us in regards to when we came to Carver, and some of the individuals there basically made us, I mean, it was just like, you know, you leave one set of parents, you go to another set of parents. I think it's been said basically years ago, it takes a village to raise a child in regards to the old African proverb, and that's the honest to God's truth. That is the truth. The last area that we're going to be focusing on, and this is what Dr. Ali had her team, and that's cultural and social engagement. We all come from different backgrounds, but we don't celebrate those backgrounds. We don't talk about those backgrounds. So what we're going to talk about is culture and social engagement. We're going to basically expose to adults, to young people, and to children. We're going to talk about your background. We're going to celebrate it, and we're going to embrace it. We want our community and our children and the center to be one of the best in the country. And we can do it. We can do it. We're going to come together to do that. Another area in regards to going forward is the fundraising, and we're going to have standing committees that will support and help the board. The focus on right now, and I'm telling you this, is that we have to generate on a monthly basis enough money to pay for those things that Carver has to have. And we're going to need your help. We can't do it without your help. And so when you hear me say we're not going to become operational, fully operational until mid-July or mid-year 2015, it's because we have to build a financial basis up so that we can go forward. On a monthly basis, just to give you an idea, the insurance for Carver is $1,500. That's just the insurance. That has to be paid every month. And there are other obligations that have to be taken care of. People don't understand that. People think we're much like Proctor Community Center, where Proctor is supported and taken care of by the Peoria Park District. When I did my research and going into this, I looked across the country. In some cities, the city council, they take care of their community centers. In some places, the Park District does it. In some circumstances, if you have a naval or a Marine or Army base, they do it. Carver has always done it on its own. And once again, we're going to have that type of community support. Now, when I noticed I didn't say if, but when the community support comes in, you're going to be able to see things are taking place. And when individuals come to Carver, things are taking place. One of the thoughts that we have in regards to Carver is that when you volunteer or when you help out, you're giving. And you never take into account what you're getting. But that's also changing your life. So we are purposely going to realize and figure out when you volunteer and you're doing this, we want to have, it's called reflection, sit down with you and talk to you and see what did you receive from the experience. So we're going to do it the right way, and we're doing it the right way. And that's why it's taking so long, because of the fact we are building a financial basis. A budget is being projected and being built. I met with some very good minds today, and the first committee, and Xavier is here. Xavier is chairing that committee, the building committee. And when we first re-engaged with Carver, one of the things that was asked of me was, where is your building and your maintenance plan? Well, there is none. So what we're going to do is build a 10-year maintenance facility plan so that when the board builds its budget, the board will be able to say, look at the plan and say, hey, look, the air conditioners are 15 years old, and this is this. We need to do this. They'll have good information. They'll have numbers that they can use to help when they build the budget. So those types of things are taking place. The other thing that I would like to say to you is that in regards to a long-term and short-term budget is that we are trying to generate income right now for the immediacy of the lights, the water, the insurance, and so on like that. And it has been a blessing that many people in the community have come forth to support us. An example of that is the United Way. We are repartnered with the United Way, and I cannot say how good they have been to us. Ameren Silco is giving us time on our light bill. We have all kinds of friends and partners. ICC, if you look at the campus area now, if you look at it now and you remember the shrubs, the rocks, the bricks, and so on, things that were around there, they're gone. They're gone. They're gone because the campus has been addressed. So we've got many partners coming in and helping us. ICC is going to have a program here. It's going to be a community resource for those individuals who want to go to school, who are thinking about re-engaging in class, and that support will be here, and it will be professionally done by Dr. Ali's team. So if you've got somebody in your family who is thinking about going to school and they're a little bit apprehensive about it, there'll be people here that they can talk to and they can get all the information they want. We are excited about what we're doing. I think I've told you that right now the financial stability of Carver is most important. And another thing, I think I'm going to be criticized, and I won't put it on our team, but an example is this room here. This room, if you use this room for a family reunion or repast, or you have a party, what we charge for the room, Gwen and Pat have checked all around the city to see what other institutions charge. Well, we found out what many of them charge, but what we need, so if you use the room, is the ability to pay for the lights, to pay for the maintenance, and to see to it that it's kept the way you see it now. And that's going to be a little bit more than what it's been in the past. And that is going to be hard for some people in the sense that, what do you mean you're charging $100 an hour? Well, we're charging $100 an hour because that's what it takes to clean and have somebody here, because you heard me say have somebody here, because we are doing it the right way, by the book, so that we can teach our children and our families that this is what life is like. We do it the right way, and we're going to be able to sustain ourselves, and we want to go, like I said, the other 90 years. Before I close, I want to tell you about when I was in Memphis and when I came back and I started researching Carver. And many of you know this. In fact, one of my friends, there's a lady in the nursing home that knew the first director of Carver, who happened to be a woman. And what happened was in 1918, a group of women observed, and some of you have heard me tell this story before, but a group of women came together and they said, we need to get youth off the street. We need to get youth off the street, black and white. There's nothing for them to do. And as you know, if you go back at that time, income was a big thing. So if you didn't have a lot of money, sometimes you weren't in school. Sometimes you just were neglected. So the women came together, and where the building sits across from the IPMR building, now the new medical building on Globe, that was the first Carver, and I want to say 1922 or 23. But these women, African American women, got together and they said, we're going to make a difference. And believe me, they made a difference. They were in that building 3 or 4 years before they outgrew that building. Then they bought the next building, and that building took place over there by State Park, where the American Red Cross is. And it was on State Street. I believe I'm telling you right, I'm almost certain. But within 3, 4, 5 years, they outgrew that building. And then they bought this building, I want to say 1938, 1939. And the room we're sitting in, Mrs. Petty, was an AT&T switching station. That's what this room was, and that's what Carver was for many, many, many years. It was a switching station. And that building, this building, was bought 39, I want to say 38 or 39. And I want to say the cost of the building was like well over maybe $100,000. But whatever it was, the ladies had the building paid for in 3 or 4 years, cash. They did it, and the rest is history in regards to the people that have come through this building and the lives that they are leading now, and the difference that it has made. Juliet Whitaker is the one that got Richard Pryor and encouraged him, you can, you will, and you are. Many of us were supported by either Mr. Campbell, Catherine Timms, Dorothy Cornish, Mrs. Washington. There were a bunch of people, but we're different because of those people. And so what we're trying to do is to give Carver that status back so that we can put people in place that can touch the hearts and spirits and minds of young children and families so we can make this a better world. So that's where we are, and President Ali, you want any remarks or anything?
I walked in there, excuse me, I was at had another engagement, I just got done, so I wanted to be respectful of you, so don't think I'm disrespecting you. Did you introduce your court team?
No, and I didn't introduce the board members. I want to introduce them because I started, and you know, Bashir, once I get started, I get started. Board member, Mrs. Marilyn Mosley, would you please stand? If we can applaud after we get everybody. Mrs. Marilyn Mosley. Mr. Aaron Clark. Mr. Jason Bender. Marilyn, please stay standing.
Stay standing.
Stay standing. I got Jason. Devin Sidnell. Devon. Okay. Xavier Roberts. And Board President Bashir Ali.
Thank you.
And we've got other board members who couldn't make it, so they basically said they weren't able to make it. And then with the transitional team, would you stand up? There's about 30 of us, so we're not all here. Dolores and Sharon, Sandy. And I was supposed to make a special announcement. The two pretty ladies in the back, they told me to say that. If you want to do a donation, okay. I'm not supposed to say, but thank you.
Thank you, Ken. And I would just say a couple of words. We want to thank the core team and Ken, and thank you, Denise, as well, for all of the hard work you put into this organization for nothing. And I understand the challenges we've had in the past. I want to say this. Ken is one of the most courageous, hardworking men of integrity and character in this community. And it's an honor to work with him in his leadership role in leading Carver back to the prominence it deserves in this community. We want to thank our board members who have come on board and have done an outstanding job. We've had, what, 5 or 6 meetings? Yes. We've gone through an orientation. We've got beginning to grasp the magnitude of the challenge. And most of all, we want to thank you. Yes. Because Carver is you and you're Carver. Carver is an integral part of this community. And it's an institution that all of us feel a duty to preserve and to expand and to develop. We've got a big challenge in front of us. I don't know if you've mentioned the fundraiser that's coming up. Right. Thank you so much. All of you, I know, are aware of it. We're going to have 2 fundraisers this year, one in the fall and one in the spring, hopefully, and or the summer. Yes. And it's going to give us an opportunity to jumpstart some of the cash flow into the organization. Obviously, we're looking at other sources of revenue and building that back up. And a lot of work is ahead of us, a lot of work. So we want to thank our board for taking on that challenge. And we have an outstanding team of professionals and caring, concerned volunteers in this community and this board, as well as the court team. That's why I wanted Ken to mention the court team, because they have done a fantastic job and have actually mobilized dozens of many of you and of others in this community. So thank you so much. We have a lot of work to do. We're here to help out and to do our part. Thank you.
Let me, if you have a business and you want to put up a placard in regards to our November 15th affair with the Heritage Ensemble, please know you can do that. The tickets to the affair, they're $20, and if you come for the pre-lecture with Mrs. Reed, they're $50 because there will be a dinner, and Mrs. Reed will explain to you about the music that will take place. So the placard is in the back, and feel free if you want to put one up, like I said, in your business, or you know somewhere that it would be nice to have that. Please feel free to do that. Sharon, did you want to say something?
No.
Being recorded.
Oh, it's being recorded.
To be broadcast on TV. So.
Thank you very much. The Heritage Ensemble will lead the way with the first signature fundraising event because that's who we are in this community. We are here to make a difference, and when we offered to do this benefit concert, Mr. Hinton and his team said yes, and so we're going to do the very best job we can in filling this auditorium with people, and I will be speaking briefly with a pre-concert lecture that night. So you will be able to hear what motivates the Heritage Ensemble and why we do the kind of music that we do. So please come out and support us. We need you to make this institution in Peoria sustainable. So thank you very much.
Thank you. When I asked the core team, the transition team, to stand up, there is someone who did not stand up, who needs to stand up, who needs to be recognized, who's helping to keep me on point with the media. He's very quiet, as most of you know him, but Mr. Sampson, did you hear me when I said the team? You're part of the team. Would you please stand so we know? Thank you. Oh, you didn't stand up. I got to tell you this. Today, the news media called and wanted to do an interview. And you guys, those of you who know me, I do blue jeans, gym shoes, shirts out, and so on. Elijah said, you're not doing that. Put your shirt in, button, and cover it up. So he's going to keep me on point. So with that, if you have questions for us, we will try to entertain your questions because you might have some questions for us. So please let us know what your questions are. We're all here, and so, Mr. Funches.
Gathered here tonight. My name is Ed Funches. I'm a member of Bethel United Methodist Church across the street. I am the director of the feeding program, which you see on Tuesday with people's coming over to eat. Ken is a very good friend of mine, and I'm on him all the time about let's get Carver Center to go. Back not too long ago, when it was looking bad outside here, before two ladies came to me and said, well, let's go up here and look, we're going to clean this up. Well, somebody called Pam, the news lady, and they already had somebody to do it. But this is our place. Mm-hmm. We had men to go to Washington, D.C. And excuse me, if I step on your foot, I mean to do it. What did they bring back? They didn't bring anything back. That's sad. We let Carver Center go down. Now we have a chance to revive Carver Center. Me, myself, I'm only responsible for one person. That's me. I will do everything in this building here as I do in my church to bring Carver Center back. And Ken knows it. I talk to him all the time. I work all the time. I may not do it like you want me to do it, but I get it done. But there's no reason for us to let Carver Center go. We don't have very many black entities here in this town. You even got better places down south. They got barber shops, shoe shine. Where you go to the shoe shine? I don't like to give a hand there. They got the thing down there, but you know sometimes you like to sit up and get a shoe shine. You can't get a shoe shine. We can't depend on nobody else but ourselves. So as this board comes tonight, with this very few here, and I've been talking to people, we're going to get this thing going. I'm going to support it financially, whatever way I can, to help Carver Center get back on play. because I want to see our kids prosper. Because this is one of the places that they went through when they didn't have nowhere else to go but here and up at the Carver Center up there. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for us? The question has been asked sometimes, like when we're going to start. We're going to be writing grants. We're going to be writing grants probably starting in December and January. And let me explain to you about grants, and I'll be as succinct as I can. It used to be you could write a grant, and a grant would sustain your programming and your facility. The way grants are working or work now, they go towards a program, and you might, let's say, for example, you write a grant for $100,000. To take that out for the operations, you might go from 3 to 8, 9, 12%. What is 10%?
20 is max in most cases
So,
for your administrative.
so to pay salaries, you could only take from 3% or 10% of the grant. And at max, that would be $10,000 if you wrote if you wrote a $100,000 grant. So if you got somebody making $60,000, then you're going to have to write 6 grants for $100,000 to hit that salary. And it's just not done that way anymore. So we cannot depend upon grants to sustain Carver solely. So that means we have to raise money through a signature event or through donations and sponsors. So I just wanted you to understand that. What other questions might you have?
I had a question back there. I have a question that I work here through the Office on Aging for 2 years, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm available for any type of secretarial help or anything happens.
Mr. Bender has the sign-up sheet for volunteers. So before you leave, there's a sign-up sheet for volunteers. And we also have envelopes if you want to donate and go home and think about it, send us something. But that's also available too. And Mrs. Wilson and Mrs. Tillman have those. Yes, Gwen?
We also have tickets if anybody would like to buy their tickets for the Heritage Ensemble benefit. We do have tickets available tonight, $20 a piece.
Okay.
Or $50 if you want the dinner.
Okay. What other questions? Ed, you got a question?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. I thought I'd pick on you, Ed. All right.
I have a
yes.
question.
Oh, yes.
Are you a 501c3 nonprofit so that your donations are tax deductible?
Thank you. We didn't pay her to do that. She's covering for me. We are a 501c3, so anything that you donate can be deducted for your taxes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Moore. Thank you. What other questions? We're prepared. I see Frank is here from the Alphas, and the Alphas, I mean, so many people have come in. The Alphas came in, did so much work for us, cleaned out the shed, and he's going to meet with me after this meeting. We're going to do business because he's going to help us again, the Alphas are. And yes, sir.
I know you said that it needs to be a certain amount of groundwork laid, but within the past year, 1, if not 2, semi-pro basketball teams have played in the gym. If they wanted to come in soon to use this facility, is the wherewithal there, or this would be prevented because of this groundwork you said needs to be laid?
Well, and that's a good question. And Elijah, in regards to things that Carver needs as far as funding, the facility in regards to the gym floor, the lighting, all that's been done. And for those of you that are familiar with Carver, you always knew that there was heat in that gym, but never any air conditioning. There's air conditioning there now, so it can be used during the summer. But what keeps us from using it at full capacity are the bleachers. And the bleachers are not functional. We got our first bid to repair the bleachers, not to repair the bleachers, but to replace them. And just to replace them is $50,000. To take them out of the gym is $5,000. So we're getting other bids for that. So the answer is maybe yes and maybe no. If you don't need the bleachers, you can use the gym. But if you need the bleachers the bleachers are not fully functional, and so that's going to be one of our efforts going forward, is trying to replace those bleachers. Thank you, Elijah.
Ms. Council Lady, is there any TIF money left?
Well, there's no TIF money in the Southtown area. This is considered Southtown. And at the end of the year, last year, all that money, whatever was left, had to be moved out because of that TIF. The Southtown TIF closed. After 35 years, the TIF was there. It had to close at some point. It was 23 years, and then it was extended, and now it's gone. So that money has been moved out.
Questions? Yes, Elijah.
Between now and next year, I mean, you've already had the grand opening, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
Between now and next year, when you expect to have a decent amount of program operating in here, people are going to be walking by and thinking about this building, and the few who've had the pleasure of coming in and seeing this excellent facility are going to start wondering, and maybe when they first got here, the enthusiasm was up here. But if it's going to take another 6 months, 9 months, 12 months before they can really experience the Carver, that may start going down here.
Well,
So I'm wondering if maybe the board can have some discussion about some way to help keep that momentum up here by letting people come in some fashion or another,
well, let me.
experience and utilize the facility.
It's a great question in the sense that it hits the dilemma and it goes right to the point. If we were to have programming here that paid for the maintenance and the utility of using Carver, we could do it tomorrow. For example, if 5 programs want to be here at Carver, and the programs that are here, they paid for their staff, their lead person, they paid for the utility and the space, we could do it because those expenses are not ours. One of the philosophies that we're going to use with Carver is that if you already have your program together and it meets the criteria for Carver in regards to families, children, and our philosophy about doing the most good that we can, and you're going to pay for your staff and you're willing to pay for your space and the utilities and maintenance, you can do it. I say all of that because we cannot generate a program or do a program if we don't have the ability to pay the staff, pay the maintenance, and whatever else goes with it. That's our issue. So that's why we're waiting until we build the finances up in such a way that we can sustain ourselves. The programs that will be coming in regards to that will be here, they're paying for themselves, and it's not an expense to Carver. It's not an expense to Carver, and that's completely doable, and that's the way it should be. Yes, Frank?
I don't have a question, but as Mr. Hickman said, my name is Frank, I'm the overall executive director of Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And I remember him coming to us and asking us to help out, and it wasn't even a question for most of us because, like myself, I live 2 blocks up the street on 3rd Street, right across from MacArthur, right across the street from Cannon's. When Cannon's was a grocery store, a liquor store, and a fish market. And so during our meeting, we talked about what we were going to do for Carver Center. And basically, just to let you know what was going on in that meeting, it was not even a question that we were going to come into this building. And so we appreciate you including us. And it's not just because we are a social service organization, it's because before we were Alphas, we were kids in this building. And we utilized this building as well. And there wasn't really any reluctancy, but just in case there was, we told brothers that weren't from this area that regardless if you help or not, Alpha Phi Alpha will be in this building. And so it's a blessing to see Xavier Roberts, who is also a member of this fraternity, who was inducted through the Peoria chapter, who came here from Jackson State University. And I just want to let you know that, yes, we are Alpha Phi Alpha, but we are citizens and young men from Peoria that grew up in this city. And that's our primary reason for being here.
If you want to walk through the building and see what's taking place, the building is open. There might be some doors that might be locked, but if they are, we will open them. But walk through the building, see what is taking place. The elevator works. You can take the elevator upstairs, whereas it didn't work before, but it works now.
That's right.
So, oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. And just to keep this one thought in mind, you so eloquently talked about the men of your fraternity came from here. And we talk about, early on, Ken talked about the women and the men who came through and made it possible for this building to still be here. And what I wish to convey to you is that our history is long and is varied. There's good, there's not so good. Sometimes we love each other, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we fight against our own best interest. But at the end of the day, everybody who has come through this building in whatever capacity came to this building out of the love for the people in the community. Mm-hmm. Everybody, and someone said it earlier, things may not be done the way Denise would do them, but they were being done for the love of the people in the community. And so to think about how we got to today, we are here today. What came before us laid the groundwork for us to be successful today and in the future. And so when you hear people talking about this or that about Carver, that was then. Mm-hmm. This is now. We're thankful for everybody that came through this building, be it a young kid coming in the door, someone volunteering their time, Juliet Whitaker, the former board, the current board, the transition team, everybody who came through this building had an opportunity and came here with the goal to make this a better place for everybody. And I just want us to keep that in mind as we move forward, because only looking forward can we make some change in the community. Change is already happening. I don't know what you're saying. And we need money. Yeah, everybody needs money. You need money at home. I need money to raise this 7-year-old. Everybody needs some money. And that's how we're going to make it happen. And as I tell people about other nonprofits that I'm a part of, I don't want all your money. I just want a little bit. And if you gave a little bit, and you gave a little bit, and you gave a little bit, not that it would hurt, but everybody just gave a little bit, guess what? All of a sudden, in those envelopes that those ladies in the back are holding up, all of a sudden, we've got something happening. And people look at you and say, wow, how did they do that? Because everybody gave a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a Reverend Denise tonight, so I'm going to get off the pulpit. But at the end of the day, if you take an envelope, just a little bit. We don't want it to hurt.
Take two. One for you
and one for a friend, somebody you know. It is tax deductible, but I want to thank you so much for coming out. You heard the call, you answered the call, you came here today. And a year, 3 years, and 5 years from now, when this place is just hopping, you're going to remember sitting in these chairs, and you're going to remember looking around at all the other people 5 years from now who are, jumping on that bandwagon. And you're going to remember you were here when there weren't a lot of people here because you saw the vision. And we thank you for that. The building is open for tours. Thank you, Ken, for all you do. Thank you for all you do. And all of you, thank you for all of you do. This recording is going to be on our City of Peoria website. I will let Ken know when it is prepared and when it has been uploaded. But we wanted the community members who couldn't be here, because everybody's got something going on, most likely, who can't be here. We wanted them to get the opportunity to hear about what Carver is doing, to see who the principals are involved, and to get involved. And we will even add some information from those envelopes about how they can contribute. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.